episode 10 of the Section O podcast. We're really proud to have two people that sit in Section O, and you know our entire mandate, we want the younger generation involved in the CFL, right? I've been a critic for so long saying that kids aren't involved in the game as much as they should be. It's kind of an older generation. So we have Brayden and we have your dad, Aaron. But Brayden, how old are you?
I'm 12.
Aaron?
43.
Now, Aaron, you've been around the Eskimos, well, since the dawn of time, right?
Yep.
You live actually 2 blocks away from Commonwealth Stadium.
Yes, sir.
And you've raised your son now to follow the Eskimos.
Absolutely.
What are some memories when you were a kid going to Eskimo games?
I remember back in the day when I first game I went to was probably the early 80s when the Eskimos were in the middle of their 5-in-a-row Grey Cup championships.
Were they still playing at Clark Stadium? Did you have tickets to then, or were you Commonwealth only?
No, Commonwealth. I've never been to a game at Clark.
And have you always sat in the same seats?
Yes. Section O, row 57.
Now, you were kind of like the start of this whole Section O thing, because I can see over here, you used to be the guy with the bullhorn.
Yeah, I used to bring the police bullhorn to the game and get the whole crowd going.
What were some of the things you used to do?
Well, anyone that come up with a different jersey or anything else, I used to mock them pretty good, but no swear words or nothing. Everything was family friendly.
And this bullhorn got a lot of reaction. People loved it?
Oh yes, I used to get the whole crowd going.
How loud is that thing, would you say?
Well, it's like a police bullhorn with a siren on it, so it's pretty loud. Oh, way louder than that.
Oh yeah. Brayden, now you're 12 years old.
Yes.
And your dad here is just giving us a recap of his history at Commonwealth Stadium. When did you start going to the football games?
Probably in 2002 when I was a little kid.
Yep, 2002 was his first game. I think he was 8 months old.
8 months old, you brought him to the game, eight months old.
I wanted to bring him to Grey Cup that year. He was like a month and 2 days old, but his mom wouldn't let me.
You went to the 2010 Grey Cup, Brayden?
Yes, I did.
And how old were you then?
I was 8 years old.
Was that his first major experience being around 60,000 people at Commonwealth Stadium? Because for what he can remember, when there were 62,444 at the Labor Day rematch in 2003, he probably doesn't remember. Tell me, at the time, 8 years old, he's at his first Grey Cup, there's 60,000 people there. What's going through your mind?
Well, when we were going in there, because it was, I believe, Saskatchewan is a game, well, their fans are not the nicest fans. We were trying to get in our normal gate, and they were pushing back, trying to get to the beer line, so I had to push forward to get my son actually through without getting crushed up to our seats.
Do you remember that game, Brayden?
Yes, I do.
What did you think about the Grey Cup in 2010?
Very crowded, and a lot of people were pushing and loud and drinking beers like most games.
So something you're looking forward to when you turn 18?
Yes.
Who's your favorite player on the Eskimos?
Probably a Darius Bowman or Mike Riley.
Why do you like a Darius Bowman, Mike Riley?
Probably my favorite receiver in the CFL right now because Stamps is gone, and Mike Riley is an awesome quarterback for us.
Aaron?
I agree. Myself, I'm a little more on the defense as well.
You know what? I've asked everybody this question. Who's your favorite Eskimo? And all 9 episodes, they all go with the defense. Brayden is actually the first person that has gone with an offensive player.
Well, yeah, I like Mike Riley and Darius Bowman too, but I love defense because defense wins you championships. And J.C. Sherritt and McCoyle and all the boys that we have, we're going to dominate this year, and we are.
Defense is also pretty badass players. Like, they play by their own rules.
Oh, yes, and I like that Lacey, too, that plays on special teams. I can't wait till he actually can get in as a linebacker because he's a beast out there.
Who was your favorite player back in the day
I had a few, but would have been, I would say, Moon, Kepley. I was a huge Danny Bass fan. Jim Germany was really good. You know, I had a lot of them. Brian Kelly, you know, they were, back then we were dominant. We just destroyed everyone. It was awesome to go to the football games back then.
Brayden, does your dad ever tell you stories from the late 70s and 80s and the dominant Eskimo teams back then with Gizmo Williams?
Oh yeah, he does all the time.
And what do you, like, can you identify with those teams from the 70s and 80s, or are you like a now kind of guy?
Now kind of guy.
That's indicative of a bigger issue now, is where we don't get a lot of younger fans coming into the CFL game because there's a lot of older people, and I think that the Eskimos and the fans kind of hang on too much to the 70s and 80s, and they have to realize that we need young guys like Brayden to take our place in the seats. What do you say to the people that all they want to do is live back to the Hugh Campbell years?
Unfortunately, Hugh Campbell is not with us anymore, so you got to live for today. And I feel that with the team we have now, we start putting some championship runs together, and it'll bring out the younger crowd.
Yeah, because the Eskimos haven't won a Grey Cup since 2005. And Brayden, how old are you in 2005?
I was 10 years, or no, I was 3 years old actually.
It's easy to say you don't remember the last time you've never experienced an Eskimos Grey Cup. Then, like you were 3 years old, you couldn't care less at the point, right? But now, like, let's say the Eskimos, when we were 1 win away from going to the Grey Cup last year, that almost got you pretty fired up.
Oh yeah, it did.
Oh, yeah, it was awesome. Like, we've hit 5 of the last 6 Grey Cups, and we can't wait till we can actually go watch a Grey Cup with the Eskimos in it and destroy whoever we're playing. And hopefully, I hope it's Calgary on the crossover, because Calgary sucks.
Calgary sucks, Brayden.
Yes, they do.
Now, we're playing the Saskatchewan Roughriders tonight. What do you think of Rider fans being 12 years old, and they're kind of boisterous, they're loud, they're obnoxious, but my theory behind it is because Saskatchewan has the younger demographic locked down, because that's really all they have to market in that province. What do you think of Rider fans, Brayden, and what we're going to experience in the next couple hours here?
Probably a lot more younger kids around, or teenagers, than there is more adult people, because in the past they haven't really won any Grey Cups, so they don't have older guys still around.
Are any of your friends at school big-time Eskimo fans like you and your dad?
A couple, but not really that go to all the games like we do.
So, safe to say in your group of friends, you're really the only guy that's kind of identifies with the Eskimos. You're kind of got all the information and you're passing it around to your friends.
Yeah, that's true.
What do you like to say to people your age? How can you market the Eskimos to them?
Well, we usually invite a couple of my friends every year, and they always come and they enjoy the games, and they try to come out as much as they can.
I think that we just got to get the fans out there again. They got to keep the weekend games. They need the Saturday, Sunday games. These Thursday, Friday night games don't really work for the city of Edmonton. I don't care what anyone says. If it's a Saturday 2 o'clock game or a Sunday 1 o'clock game, even if we're not that great of a team that year, we'll still draw 45 plus.
I think the scheduling too plays a large part in getting young people out, right? We just had the Thursday night game. It was good that it was over summer vacation, like Brayden can sleep in the next day and whatnot. If you have a Thursday nighter into September, October, you got to get the kids up for. Brayden, do you prefer the late night games or these Saturday 5 o'clock type of games?
Probably the Saturday 5 o'clock type of games, so we're not getting home at late hours, so we can still do stuff when we get home.
Play video games?
Yeah.
Let's take this thing right off the rails here. You guys have come to the Grey Cups before on the road. What's the father-son bonding experience like when it's just you guys at the Grey Cup and you don't have any other distractions except football and you're with your son?
I think it's awesome. We get out, like when we go to Toronto, we do the Hockey Hall of Fame. We try and do as much as we can, whichever city we're in, but Brayden and I are pretty close, and yeah, just like you said, the bonding over the football and just talking football, and he's a very knowledgeable young man when it comes to pretty much all sports, as not just football.
Brayden?
Yeah, I agree with my dad.
Do you know more than football about your dad?
No.
No?
No, he knows a lot more.
Well, hang on a sec. Let's have a little bit of father-son skill testing questions here, okay? Ready? Okay?
Sure.
All right. So, question number 1 for Brayden. How long is a Canadian Football League field?
100 yards. Or 110 yards.
Oh, no, you went 100.
Fine.
It's 110 yards, not counting the end zones. Each end zone's 20 yards. If you count the end zones, it's 150 altogether.
Brayden, that was an easy one.
Think before you answer next time, buddy. You know those.
Okay, ready? How many Grey Cups has the Eskimos won, Dad?
13.
Before Ricky Ray, who was the Eskimos starting quarterback?
Oh, we had a few. It was
Ricky Ray started in 2002. He came off the bench for Jason Moss, but not counting Jason Moss, who, let's say in 2001, who was the Eskimos starting quarterback?
I believe it was David Archer.
David Archer was in 1997.
Oh,
I think we stumped him, Brayden. High five. I think we stumped him. Nealon Green, ring a bell?
That's right. Yeah, Nealon Green. I tried to forget him. That's why. Just like I tried to forget Sean Fleming. Worst kicker in Eskimo history. I don't care what anyone says. He made all the kicks when it didn't matter. When the kicks mattered, he missed them all wide right.
This is on YouTube, and you're going to go on the record and say Sean Fleming, worst kicker in Eskimo history?
When it come down to crunch, yes. He cost us more games than he won us.
You can back this up?
Oh, yes.
All right, anybody that's got a problem with this, you can drop a comment in the information box below underneath this video. Sean Fleming, worst kicker in Eskimo history. This is going to spark debate. I think your old man got a whole bunch of people pissed off here, Brayden.
He probably did, but that's what he usually does.
Oh, yes. Hey, everyone's entitled to their opinion. Like Matt said, if you have a problem with that, answer in. Because if you ask me, the one game that really bothers me the most when I started, it was back, I believe, in the early 2000s. We were down 21 points to BC in the fourth quarter. We come back. All we needed to do was kick a chip shot, 20-some yard field goal to tie the game and send it to overtime, and he missed it wide right by more than 27 yards. I don't know how the heck that happened. My problem was he was going to college in Toronto for his education for a second career, which I don't have a problem with that. The problem I had was he stayed all week, didn't practice with us, and then he just come up and figured he could just come up game time and start kicking. And if you look at his stats from then, he was probably under 50% on his field goals.
He brought the thunder and the lightning, guys. I think we're going to have a little showdown in the next couple. We're going to stick Aaron against somebody else that wants to counter this point. This is going to be really, really good. Brayden, in the off time when you're not doing football, you're a big karate guy. Yeah. And we're over at your house right now, and I can see that you've got a lot of championships. Walk us through your karate. How did this come about?
When I was in school, I had a lot of friends that used to do it. And then I really started getting into fighting once I reached a high enough belt so I could start fighting. And I got pretty good at it, and it stuck with me since.
And you just came from Nationals in Ottawa.
Yes, I did.
What was that experience? That was your first Nationals?
Yes. It was quite the experience because all the kids there were probably twice as much experience or even more. Most of them were black belts, and they were doing flips and stuff, and it was pretty crazy.
And you almost beat some of these guys.
Yes.
Actually, he did. He fared very well. He was to go fight for the Nationals. You have to fight or compete in the black belt divisions, which he is a red belt. So he's probably 3 or 4 years away from getting to be a black belt, and he finished guaranteed top 10 in all the disciplines that he entered in, which I'm very impressed, very proud of my son.
So where are we going forward here with your karate career?
Next year I'm gonna probably train harder and plan on at least making the world's team so I can represent Canada, and at least fighting. That's my main goal.
So when the guys tonight want to beat up your dad for calling Sean Fleming the worst kicker in history, you're gonna have to defend him?
Yeah.
All right, well, that's it. We wrap this interview up for episode 10 of the Section O podcast. Guys, thanks for coming on the show. You're sitting with us in Section O. Hopefully we can get that bullhorn back in.
Yeah, that'd be nice. If you're listening out there, GM, Len Rhodes, let's get it back there. I actually have 2 of them, so let's get at least one of them back in the building.
And there's no profanity on these things, so I don't see why not. And also, too, as we were saying earlier, Brayden, you like it when people make noise and they're loud and they're cheering on the team, right?
Oh, yeah.
I think that's how you get more young people in the stands, is take the fun police away.
Yeah, bring the energy and all the fun into it.
You'd like to see kids Brayden's age having fun at the game rather sitting there on their hands and...
Well, absolutely. They're the future, not just the future people coming to Commonwealth. They're the future football players. People got to remember that. Just because you go to the games and watch the games doesn't mean you don't want to play the games.
That's very well said. Well, thanks for coming on, guys, and we're going to shut this computer down, go kick the shit out of Saskatchewan.
Yes, that's very true.
Riders suck?
Riders do suck.
Oh, they do suck, and hopefully they're still winless after this game.
That's the Rowdy Roddy Piper theme song on the Section O podcast. This is Rory with Section GP. So glad to be back on here. How funny was that phone call that a certain someone made to the Riders postgame show 2 weeks back? Oh my fucking God, that is hilarious.
The shitstorm that happened in Regina because of that phone call was completely off the rails. Rob Vanstone from the Regina Leader Post tweeted it out. He's like, some guy called the show and says we got to fire everybody and trade the best player. And me and Section Peace River were sitting in the hotel room because he's the one who baited me into the phone call. I was in the fetal position crying and laughing so hard. That's how awesome that phone call went down.
What makes the whole thing even awesomer is you fast forward to, because this was the game it was a Friday night after they went 0-4, if I remember correctly, after they lost to Vancouver. If you fast forward to like Monday or Tuesday of that following week, you're watching the bit on SportsCenter. Of course, they're going to bring it up because it's a big story, especially with how passionate everyone in Saskatchewan is about the CFL. When they talked about it, they used the phrase, people want Chamberlain out. People want changes in the coaching staff. People want changes with the football team. And I can't help but wonder how much of a factor that call made into everyone's perception that, quote, people want changes. I mean, I'm not saying that your phone call was the be-all, end-all of the uproar and the concern of Rider Nation, but it had to have played a factor. I mean, look at the Twitter blow up. I mean, sometimes when one person does that, it starts to snowball. And then not only that, you have other people that are, what you like to call sheep. And they kind of hear that and they start to buy into it a little bit, even if it's not their opinion. They just don't have much of an opinion, so they start to form one. So you may or may not have really caused a major shitstorm there, not just on social media, but just, in coffee shop conversations, sports bar conversations, all through the 306.
Well, I told Dave Campbell, I said, you're going to have the lowest rated points after show on 630 Ched if the Eskimos smoke Regina again and make them go 0-6. Everybody's going to be turning into CKRM or CJME and listen to that fucking city burn down some more. So everybody, if you're tuning in, Cave Damble from Cut Knife, Saskatchewan now, we've given him a biography. He might be calling in that episode. Rory, tell me something.
I'll tell you something. I have respect for passion, and I respect the passion of all passionate CFL fans.
Because you're one of the more passionate ones around here.
I appreciate that sentiment. I do. I really do. And I have no issues with how crazy and hardcore Rider fans are. I really don't. As an Eskimo fanatic, I get sick of it because, they're in our face and so on and so forth. Especially since they won their, would have been their third cup in 2007. I found that was the turning point for their fan base's mentality. Anyhow, what I'm getting at is
all right, where are you going with this?
Where I'm going with this is now the team is ultimately struggling like crazy. Their worst start to a regular season in a long, long time. The exact number of years, don't know. And, I admit I'm a little bit tickled pink to see their team struggling. Only because of the ribbing and taunting that I have had to put up with from their fan base when we went 4-14 in 2013 or went 7-11 in 2010. So it's kind of like it's your turn now. And now that I see the uproar and now that I see maybe, how one phone call from somebody kind of contributed so heavily to that, I got to say, I'm kind of having a laugh over here.
Well, you know what? I kind of feel sorry for Rider fans sometimes, and then I remember that they spend more money and more energy putting up billboards in other cities and trolling their fan base. And you know what? No, fuck you. I don't feel bad for the Rider fans at all. Maybe if you guys spent some money in your own province or, spent money on your own team, you wouldn't be 0-6.
Oh, maybe.
Or 0-5, you will be 0-6, but no, you know what? That billboard pisses me off, and you know why? And I'll tell you two reasons why it pisses me off. One, it's outside of Commonwealth Stadium.
Yep.
Two, it's in my city. This is Edmonton, Alberta, and you guys are going to put your Saskatchewan Roughrider billboard in that's where I draw the line. The second you put your Saskatchewan Roughriders billboard in my city, now trying to take away my pride for the football team, trying to take away my passion for all things Edmonton, now that's where I got the problem. Nobody comes into my city, our city. You know what? You Saskatchewan Roughriders, you want to put a billboard in my city, now you're dealing with me. You want to put the billboard in my city, now you're dealing with Section O. You don't want to take Section O on. You don't want to do that. Many have tried, and you will fail. Just like when you assholes got shut out 24-0, I lost my voice that game telling every single one of them, yelling and screaming, you put that billboard in my city, now look what happens.
Beautiful. Beautifully said, really.
You want to come in here and troll our passion and pride? You want to put the billboard in our... Now, that's where I take it personally. It goes beyond football now. That's where I take it personally. So you know what, Saskatchewan? You guys are coming in now with Kevin Glenn on the 6-game injured list. You got some Yahoo Brett Smith starting the game. I give Chris Jones 100% permission to run that score up.
May as well. Points for and points against.
I'm not done yet. Don't interrupt me when I'm shooting on the Rough Riders here, Rory. My buddy Dale has a good comparison. He says, all the Rough Rider fans are loud at the start of the game, but at Commonwealth Stadium when they're losing, halfway through the fourth quarter, he calls it the Green Waterfall, and it's all the Rider fans leaving the game early in the second deck, and it looks like a waterfall coming down the stairs. He calls it the Green Waterfall. So hopefully we can get the Green Waterfall out on Friday night.
Let's get that Green Waterfall going. Let's run the score up. Why not? It's not even one of those things where it's unsportsmanlike to do it.
You know what, Rory? This is professional football. This isn't recreational flag football. Oh, it's disrespectful to run the score up. You're getting paid to play football.
Okay, this is not amateur hour. We're going to run the score up, and I've seen it before with, hockey or basketball, whatever. Oh, I thought it was really unsportsmanlike for them to run the score up and not keep the game on the ground and whatnot. No, fuck you. This is pro football. We're running the score up, and if you can't compete with us, that's your problem. This is what you get for buying the 2013 Grey Cup Saskatchewan with all your backloaded contracts. You're 0-6 now. Eat it. Eat the score on Friday night, Rider fans, because it's going to get ugly.
We are going to ram first down after first down their throat, and our defense is going to hit them in the mouth the whole game long, just like they are always supposed to do. That's the way it goes. And just like you said, professional ball. We're here to play 60 minutes. I suggest your players show up and try to do the same thing.
You know what? I actually feel kind of bad for the Eskimos because they're going to get all hyped up and this thing's just going to turn into a one-sided track meet. This might as well just be an extended practice for the Esks. Rory, let's take this podcast in a totally different direction. Last week it was raining.
Yes.
And if you listen to my interview with Lindsay, you remember how saying that she has fibromyalgia, right?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
She sent out a tweet, actually, the day after the rain game and basically said how much in pain and how much sore she was, and she kind of going through the ritual to kind of relieve the pain. And she was doing this on Twitter, and I actually felt really bad for her. So what I actually did, and I never told anybody until now, this recording is done on Wednesday afternoon. It's 4 o'clock Wednesday afternoon, and you're going to hear this podcast on Thursday afternoon. What I did is I actually made a $250 donation to the fibromyalgia. So hopefully we can get a cure for this thing, Rory. And people listening to this podcast, too, if you want to make a donation, I'll put the link in the information box below. Click, and you know what? Just because it was a very powerful message, what she said in the episode 9 of the podcast. And really, I never thought anything about it until I got back home and I started editing it. And then it really hit me when she sent that tweet out after the rain game saying how sore and pain she was in. So if you guys want to make a donation to it, I'll leave the information box. I'll leave the link in the information box. So let's really get a cure for this disease, Rory.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually also know people that have dealt with that. It is very painful, and good on Lindsay. Her story is inspiring. With my shoulder injury, it's it's a completely different ailment, but it inspires me to, as Daryl put it, get busy living instead of get busy dying.
Fibromyalgia Canada Compassion in Action. That's the website. Make a donation. I'll have the link there. Rory, can we get 40,000 Friday night?
Come on, Edmonton. Come on, Northern Alberta and surrounding area. We can buy tickets. Let's go support. Let's go, match passion with all the Rider fans that are influxing into the stadium. Let's go show our Edmonton Eskimo Football Club how crazy we could be, how loud we could be on defense. We got to go out there and buy tickets. We got to do it. This is going to be an intense game. Yes, we talked about how we are going to dominate and all that stuff, but it's still going to be an intense rivalry. It's still good. We got to get out there, support this Edmonton Eskimo Football Club, buy your tickets.
I saw a crazy stat, Rory. Since the Eskimos hired Chris Jones, we're 10-2 at home. And we have not allowed a touchdown in the regular season at home since September 12th against the Montreal Alouettes in the fourth quarter. That is almost 5 games without a touchdown.
Yeah, without a touchdown on defense.
Scored against our defense, yes. But you may remember the Rough Riders got away with one in the Western semifinal because somebody slipped on the ice. So really, there's only been 1 touchdown at Commonwealth Stadium since September 12th of 2014.
Furthermore, that game on September 12th, we shellacked the Montreal Alouettes. So really, look at it however you want statistically. We are, last season and this season, we're getting back to that. Commonwealth Stadium is a tough place to visit. I love it. I love all the fans. We love our football team. There's too many players that are playing well to name. But I keep thinking about Marcus Howard. It's great seeing Marcus Howard bounce back.
Lastly, Rory, in part 1 of this podcast, Aaron, with his 12-year-old son, Brayden, we were talking about how the CFL can get younger fans out, and he actually had a really great story being young and liking the CFL. But more importantly, he caused a bit of a stir. Aaron here said, quote, Sean Fleming is the worst kicker in Eskimo history. Now, I told him that we were going to get somebody else on to maybe dispute this, and, he kind of wants to start the firestorm. Tell me, what do you think him claiming Sean Fleming the worst kicker in Eskimo history? Couldn't kick a field goal when the game was on the line.
Later in his career, he definitely showed a lot of inconsistency as a place kicker. I've seen a lot of inconsistent place kickers in the Canadian Football League. But to actually make the statement that Sean Fleming's the worst kicker in Edmonton Eskimo history is outlandish. I wish I could reference some statistics and some other players, but we went through, and this isn't saying any of these kickers are any worse or the worst ever either, but we had a very inconsistent special teams game as a team with various coaches, multiple general managers, spanning from really going, Sean Fleming retired in 2006 or 2007, spanning from there all the way until really 2012, 2013. And when you look at it, we've also had more kickers come in and out of the organization. As a team, we haven't been very consistent at place kicker for quite a long time. Fleming heavily contributed to 3 Grey Cup championships for the Edmonton Eskimos and kicked what was game-winning points in the 2005 Grey Cup. To say he's the worst kicker in Edmonton Eskimo history is just flat out, you're frustrated with some of the misses he's had and some of the mistakes he made on the field. It's not factual. There's no substance to that statement whatsoever, Aaron. I'm sorry, bud.
Wow, you two are going to have to sit down and have this debate.
And I love that guy. Aaron Holden is the man. He is the man. But I know he probably just wanted to get me fired up.
It doesn't take much. Rory, that draws our time to an end. Do you have a message for Eskimo fans going to the game Friday night?
All right, Eskimo Nation, here we go. Let's buy tickets. Let's go make some noise. Let's do this. Go, Esko! Go, Esko! Hey, Brett Smith, don't forget to tell your receivers in the huddle that you suck!